I have got to get to on my new Tacoma, and how's the fuel economy? Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to RobMotive. That's right, there is a mod that for some reason I have not gotten to yet, but I've got to get it installed because it's driving me insane. And also, how is the fuel economy on the truck? I've had it for a while now, certainly broken in at this point, and I did put different wheels and tires on, but I will say the tires that I put on via a speed test yields no change. So I'm going to go with the onboard calculations are still correct because I didn't change the speed, if you will, in the way that the speedometer or the whole system measures how fast I'm going in relation to the tires that I have. So let's talk about that first, and then we'll get to this must-have mod that I've got to take care of. So, fuel economy wise, I'm cruising around right now, and I'm just going to give you what it is right now. Average speed has probably been 35 to 50 miles an hour, let's say. I know it's a pretty broad range. So let's take a look. Let me thumb down here. And I had talked before that the truck was doing really well. It was getting, I think it was like 19 or 21 even miles per gallon. Pretty much driving the same way that I am right now. Of course, the weather's gotten colder, and I think that makes a bit of a difference. They may have even changed the fuel grade, who knows. But I am happy to say that right now on this little trip, again, it's going to vary. If I was driving on the freeway, it would be better. But I'm getting 18 miles per gallon. 18 miles per gallon, and that's as compared to the, I think it was 14 to 15.4, something like that I was getting in my Voodoo Blue manual transmission Tacoma. Now, in all fairness, that truck did have bigger, heavier tires. I think they were a 285/70 R17, I believe. It was a 17 or an 18, I don't recall now. But I am happy with this at 18 miles per gallon for a truck. I think it's pretty good. And if I was on the freeway, you know, cruising around at 65, 70 miles an hour, I think I'd probably be getting somewhere in the 21 to maybe as high as mid 23, even maybe 24 mile per gallon range. So it's doing quite well for my style of driving. Most of my driving is like what I described earlier, somewhere in the 35 to 55 mile per hour range, but there are stops along the way, so that's going to cut into the mileage as well. And it's cold. It's 53 degrees outside. I know that's not like freezing, but believe me, when you're used to 80s at this time of year, it's pretty darn chilly outside. So anyway, I'm pretty happy with it. It just jumped to 18.2 as I'm cruising on a 45 mile an hour road. So probably on this trip, if I let it go a little bit longer, I'd be somewhere around 19 miles per gallon right now. Very, very happy with that. One note, one thing that I want to mention, because it comes up on the channel a lot, and I had said earlier that the tires that I have on here now yield the same accurate speed as what the stock ones did. In other words, when I put a GPS up and compare it to the speedometer, it's the same, it matches. Now I'm sure it could be off point something, but we're not going to deal in decimal points for this. So make sure that if you're doing this kind of a test, that you account for bigger, heavier tires and don't just go by what the computer system says, because it won't be accurate. It does not know that you've added different, bigger, heavier tires than what you had before. Now, let's talk about this mod. You know, this is one that I don't know why I've been putting off, because it's a pretty important one to me. And it is the Subaru type kicker tweeters. You know, putting the tweeter in this truck is almost equivalent to what the Sprint Booster does as far as lag goes. It completely transforms the sound system in the truck. And it's really amazing the difference that it makes. And it's a pretty inexpensive mod. I think the cost on it's about somewhere between $80 and $120, depends, something like that. So it doesn't cost a lot to do, and it's really pretty easy. You just pop the side pillar covers off, pop the covers over the tweeters off, take a couple screws out, plug it in, and you're golden. You're good to go. So I'm not sure why I've been putting it off, but it is one that's going to be coming up on the channel soon. Now, I want to mention something else when it comes to sound and these kicker tweeters. You know, I had thought before that putting those speakers in made such a profound difference that if I went ahead and redid all of the speakers and I chose kickers, that it would be hugely different. And I've got to say that, first of all, don't do it. I spent the money on it, bought all the speakers. I'm talking front, back, and the tweeters. And it's not a ton of money. I went with kickers again. It's not a ton of money, but still it's money that you're going to waste because it really makes no, to me anyway, discernible difference. I really did not notice any big improvement, especially when I compare the sound level or the sound quality to what it was without doing all of that. Now, that's not to say that if you maybe go with a different brand or something, it might be better. I don't know. I kind of doubt that it would. I think if you're really looking for more premium sound out of the Toyota Tacoma, then you probably have to add other stuff to it. You know, maybe an equalizer, maybe an amp, other things. Stuff that I wasn't looking to do, at least not at the moment. It's not to say that I won't do that down the road, because I do have an interest in that kind of stuff. It's just a little beyond my knowledge level, so I'm a little hesitant. I have talked before on the channel, I had an experience in a different lifetime putting a radio in a car, and we hooked it up incorrectly somehow, and we smoked the radio and literally had smoke. It wasn't a lot, but had smoke coming out from under the dash. So that's always in the back of my mind when I think about wiring in anything like that. That's not as straightforward to me as some of the other mods that I've done. One other thing I do want to mention, a lot of people have asked me if they have the JBL system, can they use the kicker tweeters? And the answer used to be no, you couldn't. But since then, there is an adapter that you can use. In other words, you can plug it in between your speaker, the kicker speaker, tweeter, and the factory wiring, and that allows you to use the kicker tweeters in with the JBL system. So you can do it now. As I said, it's relatively new. I think it's been out for about a year or so, but you're no longer limited to being stuck with those cheapo speakers on the JBL system even, because of a connection or a connection issue. I highly recommend that you check them out, by the way. Anyway, appreciate you guys watching. Leave a comment, let me know if you've done the kicker tweeter upgrade. Did you notice a big difference? Leave a comment, I'd be curious to know. Also, real quick, I do have 2 additional channels. RobMotive FST, all about full-size trucks, and RobMotive JT, all about my 2020 Jeep Gladiator. Check them out, and if you're interested, why not subscribe? Don't forget to click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. And do me a favor, smash that subscribe button on your way out. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.